So again, we've been looking at this query or this schema diagram here. We're going to just write just a few queries just so people can start getting in the flow of how to do this. All right, so where is my window? XAMPP. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that. There we go. All right, so I'm going to come back here. I'm going to click on SQL again. Okay. And as I mentioned, I'm going to just, for this one, I'm just going to type in this. Hopefully, Christopher, you can see that, and Nicholas back there, okay. Now, just so you know, I mentioned this before, but I'm saying it again because I'm trying to be complete here. You see the back ticks before the word around the word vendors? If you do decide that in table names or field names you're going to put a blank space in, you're like, screw you, Jeff, I'm putting it in anyway. You must put them in back ticks then. So it automatically puts back ticks in there and you don't need it. All right. That where one is unnecessary. One is, does that mean, does one equal one? So this, what they put in here is the exact same thing as that. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So again, I'm going to put in here select instead of star. I'm going to say select customer. Notice it knows customer first name, customer last name. All right. And I want to show you how you can use that IntelliSense in just a second from customers. And you can put them all in the same line. It doesn't matter. So I put the first name and the last name, and now I'm going to click go. And there's my customers right there, just with first name and last name. Does that make sense? Now, would you agree looking at them? They're in order, but they're in order based on customer ID. Does that make sense? So let's go back to the same query. And this time, we'll select the customer first name and the customer last name, but we're going to say order by customer last name. So order by customer last name is what I added there. So now they should be alphabetized based on the last name. Does that make sense? Questions? All right, so there that is. Now, I'm going to run this, and notice now my last names. Aberolas, Bonnickson, Brown, Caccini, etc. Now, look at this. Notice I've got 3 Pattersons, and they're not in order. So it is totally legit for me to do an order by on more than one field. So on last name and then customer first name. Like that. I'll leave that up there for a second, so if you want to key that in, you'll be able to. All right. Now what you'll see when I run this is when I get down to the Pattersons, Luke, Maria, Neil, Rachel. See how they're in order now? If I wanted to do them in reverse alphabetic order, okay, just so you, again, I'm trying to be consistent here, then we would put DESC in here for descending. Just like that. Now you might say, I never want to do that, but yeah, but a lot of times with dates or with prices, you might want the highest to the lowest or the newest date to the oldest date. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. So now what you should notice is if I run this, all right, Wilson, Viscos, etc. All right. Also notice it only shows like 24 or 25 rows at a time. There is a show all in here. I would recommend, especially for like the one with 3,975 records, don't check that. All right. So let's just take a look at a couple more things. Like I said, I'm just trying to be consistent here. I'm going to give you a half dozen or so more of these. We'll go to like 11, like I said. But going back now and looking at the schema, which of course I was good enough to remove. Or do I have it? There it is. All right. So that's enough for the customers. We could do the same thing with employees. All right. But let's look at, for a second, let's look at orders. Okay. So what I want is the order number and I want the order date. All right. In fact, let's do the order number and the order date and the ship date. Now I'm going to do this a little different. What do I mean? You're going to see it right now. So let me get rid of all this. And as I said, don't type this in yet. I want the order, I don't know, order date and the ship date. And I think the other one was like order ID or something. Now, what I put in here, if I just put in order date and ship date like this, those are called unqualified names. What I mean is this. Notice if I type in orders dot, see how it shows me everything? Now I'm fully qualifying the name of my fields. Some people like to do it like that. I know people who are DBAs, even if it's just one table like this, that's how they always do it. Not because it brings up this IntelliSense, but they always know exactly the table or tables that they're referencing. So I'm going to ask for the order ID, orders dot order date, and orders dot, what was the other one? Dot ship, order ship date. All right, right there, from orders. Now, the problem is, how many orders do we have? Does anybody remember? Give you a hint. It's 944. Do I really care about those? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this query, but I'm going to tell it to just limit it to about 10. Does that make sense? So I'm telling it to give me the order ID, followed by the order date, followed by the ship date, but only for the first 10 orders that are in there. Questions? So I'm going to go down to here and eventually find my go button. I'm going to run it. And you can see what we have. Now, to be honest with you, the book that I got this from, it had like 2015 in there for the date. So last year, 2 years ago, I upped it to 2019. I probably should up it again to 2021. Okay, but I'm just going to leave it the way it is. The only thing is right now, we're seeing the newest ones. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, what if we wanted to see, I'm sorry, we're seeing the oldest ones. These are the 10 oldest. What if we want the 10 newest? Everybody with me? Let's talk about how we do that. Okay. Well, let's see. I can say limit 10, but before I say limit 10, I'm going to say from orders, and I just have a tendency when I break stuff up like this to put these on separate lines. But I'm going to say order by orders dot order ID in descending order, limit 10. Can you see what I've done there? So I've said I want the order ID, the order date, and the ship date, but I want you to put them in descending order, and I want you to only show me the last 10. So I should be getting different ones than I got before. I should have taken a screenshot of that, but I didn't. All right. Like I said, this is something brand new to you. And the L in SQL stands for language. You're learning another language. Just like C# is a language, so is this. So if I come down here and I click go again, now I should know that these are different ones. Look at the order ID. The first ones were 1 through 10. These are 944 through 935. See that? And it looks like I didn't do everything with all of those dates on there. That's not a big thing. All right. I'm more looking at the numbers. So let's just keep going. And let's see. Let's see if you can do this one yourself. All right. What we want is we want to go and we want from the categories table, see if you can print out all of the categories in descending order. So can you print out just from the categories table, the categories in descending order? See if you can do that. And then I'll put it in just a second. Again, if you fully qualified it, it should look something like this. Select categories, category description. From categories, order by categories, category description, descending. All right. And when you look, here's my categories, and notice it starts with wheels. All right. Like I said, it's not my goal here to see if I can confuse you, but before we finish up, we'll combine a couple tables just so you can see how it's done. All right. Okay, then, let's see. What if, now this is going to be new, and this is, you're going to have to watch for this one. What if I wanted for each customer, I wanted the customer's first name and last name. I wanted their order number. All right. And I wanted, I don't know why, but let's just leave it at that for now. We'll add more stuff to it. You with me? So I want these things. In order to do that, I have to do what's called join the tables together. Now, there's two ways of doing it. And I'm going to show you the old syntax for doing it. All right, back when I was your age, pretty close to your age, at least with some of you in here. All right, so we're talking now 30 years ago, all right, or more. But in the late 80s, when I was working on my master's thesis, this is what I was doing. All right, I did my master's on databases. So I'm going to show you first what you can't do. Did you hear me? I'm going to show you first what you can't do. I'm going to get some kind of an error when I do this. I don't know offhand what the error will be. But I'm going to click Show My Query Box. And what I want is I want you to go to the Customers table. So Customers. This is not going to work. And I want the first name. And from the Customers table, I want the last name. And then I'm just going to go to the next line here. Then from the, what did I say? Orders table, we want the what? Order date? Okay. So from the orders table, we want the order date. All right. So it'd be nice if we could just say this. From customers, comma, orders. All right, and guess what? We're probably going to get something. It ain't going to be what you want. So I'm going to show you how to fix it in just a minute. So this is wrong, but this is what I put in for now. Okay, so let me cut this down and let me click go. And it's given me back 25,488 records. Would you agree that's not a good thing? It's given me every possible combination. There are 8 customers. There are, how many orders did we say there were? Like 944? It's doing some math. And it's taken each person, notice Susan Viscas is going to be in there a bunch of different times. And the reason that it's not working correctly is it doesn't know that there's a field in common. And we only want to join when there's this field in common. All right. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you how we can make it even nicer in just a second. All right. So from customers and orders, and I'm going to say where customers dot, I think it's customer ID equals orders dot, what field do we have at common here? Yep, customer ID. All right, so look at the difference, and we're going to make this even better in just a minute. But we're telling it to select those fields from those tables, but only where the IDs are the same within the 2 tables. And when you do that, don't say, right there, don't say order ID. You want to compare apples and apples. But notice now, once I've done this, because I'm going to rewrite it as soon as we get done and do it the way you actually should do it. All right, so let me just go down and see now how many we get. It says return an empty set, so it doesn't like something. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, now I lost my thing too, so I'll get it back. I'm going to rewrite this, but I want to write it the right way. So we said we wanted from the customers table dot and customers dot. We wanted the first name, and I'm just going to put all of them on their own line so you can see this. And it may be that the query doesn't make sense, which is totally fine. All right, I'm just trying to show you a point here, okay? And I'm going to show you how we can make this much better in just a second. All right. So again, even if it doesn't give me anything back, it's okay. I want to show you the better way of writing this is what I'm saying. So I'm just going to grab all of this and I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. And I'm going to try to run the query again and see if I get anything back. All right. So what's it telling me? It says unknown column name, first name and field list. Customers dot first name and field list. Customers dot first name. Oh, it's customer first name. Okay. Okay. Try that again. Customers dot customer first name, customers dot customer last name, orders dot order date. I think that's all correct now. Sorry about that. All right, it says to return an empty set. Again, I'm not worried about it because I want to show you this. How could we write this and make it better? First of all, would you agree that putting that in there is a pain in the butt? I would say that it is. Now, do you have to put it in there? No, because the system knows it's customer first name because of the name of the field. But sometimes right here, you have to put in something because it's the same field. Does that make sense? They're both customer ID. So I'm going to show you how you would typically write this. It looks a little weird. a little slicker? We are aliasing. After you alias like this, as far as the system is concerned, there is no table right now in this query. There is no table named customers. There is no table named orders. Did you hear me? So if I tried to use orders dot something, I'd get an error. I am aliasing right now. I am aliasing these field names, or these table names. Customers is now referred to as C. Orders is now referred to as O. This would work. I'm still going to get an empty set. This would work without this. It would work without this and this. But I need that last one in there. Did you hear me? All right. If I don't put it in there, the system won't have any idea what it is I'm trying to do. So what we will do on Friday, I got to go and dig through my stuff because I've got some worksheets that I've created. And I'll send them to you early. So if you want to try doing something, you'll be able to. Let's do one last thing before we leave. One last thing. All right. So I'm going to go back up here to my queries. Oops. Yeah, I don't need this. Sure. Okay. Everything we've done so far, everything that we've done has been a select statement. Now, I mentioned this acronym to you before, but I'm going to say it again. What you're starting to do right now are what are referred to as CRUD operations. CRUD is an acronym. It stands for create, read, update, and delete. Did you hear me? Create, read, update, and delete. All right? We've only done the read. That's all select does. It is not possible for you to change data in a database using a select. Did you hear what I said? You can view the data, but you can't change it. So, what if we wanted to do something like that? Well, let's do this. Let's insert into customers. And I wouldn't put this in if I were you until I get done and make sure that it's syntactically correct. So where do we have this? I want to see the fields that are in here. It's pretty big. So we got what? First name, last name, address, city, state, zip, area code, phone number. 8 pieces. You don't have to even put them all in. You don't have to put in any of them if you don't want to, but I'm going to put in all of them just so you see those. So I'm going to say in here the names. Customers, first name. Customers' last name. Customers' address. Customers' city. Customers' state. Customers' don't remember what that one was. It zip or zip code. Whoops, I don't want that. Get rid of that. It is zip code. Oh, and it's street address. It's not address. So that is street address, customer, zip code. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What else is in there? Area code and phone number, is that it? So customer area code, customer phone, is it phone or phone number? Phone number. All right. Values. Single quote, Jeff. Single quote, Scott. This was the numeric one, so Now, the chances of me putting all that stuff in and not making an error are not good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I could have put something in incorrectly. I didn't try to, but I just naturally could have. Okay? So I'm going to run it and see if it does work. If the screen turns pink, it didn't work. It looks like it did. Okay, good. So here was my query. I'll bring it back in fact, I'll put it out here and I'll make it bigger in just a second. But what I want to do now is I want to type in select star from customers. All right, and see and verify that I'm at the bottom now. All right, so it says showing 0 to 24, so I want the second page. So I click either one of these arrows, and lo and behold, there I am. See that? So here was the query. Now, before you go type it in, let's talk about how we can make it better. All right, first of all, do you notice I did not have to put in an ID? Everybody see that? Because it's an auto increment. I could be wrong here. I'm going to try it again. I could be wrong here, but I believe I don't need any of this, because if you're putting in look at the screen. If I put in every field, I don't think I need to list them. I could be wrong. I think that'll work, but I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to put in my wife. So I have another one in there. This may or may not work. Oops. Column count doesn't match what's at row 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So it's missing the customer ID. Now, can I fix that? I think so. I'm going to go right back up to my query again. And I'm going to put in the word no in there. I'm going to try that, and I'm going to let the system put a number in for me. I don't know if that'll take that. It did. See that? But I needed to, because I have actually 9 fields, I needed to have 9 entries. Now, if I go back in there and I look at this, so again, I'm going to run the query, my select star. And now what am I going to do? I'm going to say this: order by customer ID descending. Okay? Why? Because I want to see if my wife and I are both in there. And there's Sandy Scott, and there I am. See that? So look on the screen, if you would, one last time, please. This will work. But you have to put in no there. This represents an unknown customer ID. This is the first name. This is the last name, address, city, state, zip, area code, and phone number. Does all that make sense to everyone? Also, look on the screen, please. The area code is a numeric field. Do not put those into quotes. Do not use double quotes. It may even work, but it's not recommended. So I could have done it like that. I'm going to go back and just put my name in there. But I'm also going to write the other way that we had done it first. So I'm going to come in here and put all these in. If I do it this way, that's on the screen, look on the screen, please. If I do it this way, I do not put in an entry for my customer ID. Now, you might look at this and go, hey, it's a no-brainer. Which one am I going to use, right? And I would agree with you. However, if I'm only putting in some things that are in here, or if I'm only putting in some things, then you list all the field names. All right. So hopefully you got a chance to at least try that, put yourself in, put me in, it doesn't matter. But that is what? That is the C, create. So you use insert to create. All right? So look on the screen, please. We're going to pretend, and God forbid this ever happens, but we're going to pretend that I got transferred to the St. Louis campus. I wouldn't want to make that ride every day, but let's just pretend. So I'm going to update customers. Try it again. Customers. I don't know why it's the autocomplete that's in here. I should just turn it off. So I'm going to update customers, and I'm going to say set customer city equal to St. Louis. Now, does it make sense to everybody? Look on your screen, please. If you ran this query, now everybody'd be from St. Louis. Does that make sense? We mentioned this last week. This is where you'll need a where. Now, I could do this. And that would work. If you look up on the screen here, that would work. When you're using wheres like this, don't use field names other than the ID. All right? So I'd have to find out what the ID was first. In this case, it'll work. All right, I just want to prove this to you. So I'm going to update. So it's update followed by the name of the table you want to update, set, and the field. And I could put a comma here and update multiple fields. So let's suppose that there was a St. Louis, I could say customer state equals, Illinois, for example. I could do that. All right, just to show you where the first name is Jeff and the last name is Scott. So I'm going to put in this query, and I'm going to run it. Notice I didn't get any errors, so I think it worked. So let's just go back into the query box here. I'll grab that in case I do want it later, but I'm just going to say select star from customers, order by customer ID DESC, because I know I'm the second last one in there. There I am. Notice it's now St. Louis, Illinois. See that? All right, so that's the U. That's the update. Well, my wife's not working here anymore, so we just want to get rid of her. So I want to, come on, delete from customers where, in this case, I'll use them both, where first name equals Sandy and last name equals Scott. Okay? So there's the delete. And then I'm going to run that, and when I run it and go back and look at it, when I print out all of the customer IDs or all the records, she should be gone. That's the delete part. So very quickly, I showed you a create where we did an insert into. I showed you an update, which is update. I'm showing you a delete. And we've looked at select. So we've looked at all four of the pieces of CRUD, so to speak. So there that is. Let's run it, see if it works. It says, do you really want to execute this? What isn't it like? Where first name equals that? Unknown column, first name. Oh, sooner or later I'll figure it out. It's not first name, it's customer first name, and it's customer last name. Sorry about that. All right. There. Now it's a little easier to read. So let's see if that one works. Okay, it says one row affected. That's always a good sign, right? At least I think it is. So I'm going to say again, select star from customers, order by customer ID descending. And now I should be the first one that comes up. She should be gone. And when you look, she's gone. Does all that make sense? That was quick. We'll go back over this on Friday, and I'm going to give you probably a couple worksheets to work on. And the first one, we'll probably do it as a class, just so you can get used to doing it. And I'll show you the other syntax for doing a join. And then I'll give you another one. You're not going to turn these in. I just want you to get familiar with this, all right, so that when you start working with databases, you're like, oh, that's what we're doing. That's my goal here. So it went a little longer than I thought it would, all right, but hopefully you at least have been introduced to it now, and it makes a little bit of sense to you. All right, so we'll continue this on Friday then.